what if technique for music, and acting introduction, practical applications of what if techniques. As we enter this new phase, it becomes time to transform the insights of what if into tangible practice, into day-to-day methods and exercises that empower you to make your art a continuous act of creative renewal. In many ways, all the groundwork laid in earlier chapters was about opening your eyes to the latent potential within performance, whether on stage or at the keyboard. Meanwhile, practical application is where the theory meets the real world, and your inner questions find an expression in physical action. This chapter is devoted to guiding you through step-by-step exercises for actors, practical tips for musicians, and suggestions for integrating the what-if approach into your daily creative practice. I recall a moment from a rehearsal in a local theater when a veteran actor, after years of perfecting his role, surprised his director by suggesting a small, deliberate change to a particularly well-known line. Instead of repeating it just as he had always performed it, he paused to ask himself, what if this line should carry a softer, wistful undertone today, a silent tribute to a part of his past? That single inquiry led him to deliver the line with an unexpected inflection. The atmosphere in the room shifted as his colleagues witnessed how something so subtle could bring ranted in the nose of tables, an entirely new emotional dimension to the performance. It was a small moment, yet it encapsulated the power of putting theory into practice, of seeking possibilities in everyday routines. In our earlier chapters, we explored how the what-if method allows you to look beyond the standard techniques in acting and music, inviting you to infuse familiar passages with fresh vitality. Now, we turn our attention to its practical side. How do you consistently harness that inner questioning? How do you transform a rehearsed routine into a canvas for spontaneous self-expression? This chapter provides concrete approaches, exercises designed to spark creativity, and practical tips that can help you incubate those breakthrough moments into your daily work. It is not enough to simply admire the idea. It must be practiced and refined, just as a musician hones their scales or an actor runs through lines moment after moment. For actors, the first part of this chapter will introduce a series of structured exercises meant to help you continually reconnect with your character. These exercises encourage you to engage with scenes in a way that goes beyond memorization and mechanical performance. Instead, they invite you to ask questions like, what if my character's fear is rooted in an unspoken past? Or what if this exchange is not just about conflict, but a suppressed plea for understanding? You will find that by isolating a particular moment within a scene and experimenting with different emotional responses, you can unlock nuances that might otherwise remain hidden. In one exercise, for example, you might practice delivering a monologue first as you always have, and then repeat it while intentionally shifting the emphasis on certain words or pauses. Notice how each small change produces a different texture in your delivery. Over time, these exercises aim to build not only your technical range, but also the courageous habit of letting your inner world seep into the performance. Similarly, for musicians, this chapter offers practical techniques to integrate what-if thinking into your playing. You may have spent years perfecting a classical piece, playing each note with impeccable precision. Yet, beneath the surface of that technically flawless rendition lies untapped emotional expression. One practical tip is to designate a portion of your practice time to experimentation. Start by playing a familiar scale, or piece exactly as you normally would, Then, on a second run-through, pause to ask yourself, what if this note could carry a hint of melancholy, like a remembered farewell? Experiment with dynamics, perhaps try a softer attack, or a gentle decrescendo where you normally maintain the established volume. Reflect on how these small changes affect the overall feel of the performance. Keep a journal of these experiments, noting which subtle modifications evoke the emotional response you seek. With time, you can weave this exploratory process into your regular routine, turning each practice session into an opportunity to reimagine your musical ideas. This chapter also addresses the broader application of what-if techniques in your everyday creative life. Artists often find that the simplest adjustments in their practice sessions can lead to significant breakthroughs in performance. The key lies in developing a habit of reflective inquiry from the moment you sit down to rehearse to the final moments after the performance when you review what unfolded. Consider setting aside a few minutes before your practice or performance purely for contemplation. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and allow your mind to wander, questioning the familiar patterns of your work. Ask yourself, what if today I try a slightly different approach? What if there's a hidden rhythm or emotion in this piece I've never noticed before? These moments, though small, serve as vital connectors between disciplined practice and spontaneous innovation. An important aspect of the practical applications in this chapter is the emphasis on collaborative exploration, whether on stage or in a recording studio. Sharing your what-if insights with fellow artists can lead to a more vibrant and enriched creative environment. Often, a discussion with a fellow actor or musician about a simple alternative interpretation can spark an entire reimagining of a scene or a piece of music. I recall watching a rehearsal where a small theater group, after a brief discussion about varying the pace of a crucial scene, collectively experimented with several approaches. The resulting performance was dramatically different from any previous rendition. They discovered that by allowing each person's unique perspective to inform the scene, the entire narrative became more layered and authentic. Such collaborative inquiry not only strengthens the overall production, but also reinforces the idea that creative possibilities are limitless when nurtured in a community of engaged, open-minded artists. Integrating what-if techniques into your daily practice requires both discipline and flexibility to assist you in this process. The chapter presents a series of step-by-step exercises that range from individual introspection to ensemble improvisation. These exercises are designed to gradually train you to shift from a mindset of rigid repetition to one of creative curiosity. For instance, one exercise might focus on the physical tension that arises during rehearsals. You could begin by exploring the sensation of tension in a particular scene, and then intentionally altering your physical response experiment with different gestures, facial expressions, or vocal inflections until something new and emotionally resonant emerges. Such targeted exercises not only enhance your awareness as a performer, but also demystify the process of tapping into deeper wells of emotional expression. Another area of practical application addresses the importance of regular self-reflection. Post-performance, after a show or a practice session, take time to reflect critically on what felt successful and what could be refined further. Consider writing your thoughts down or discussing them with a trusted creative partner. Often, the feedback you receive, whether internal or from others, contains clues to future creative breakthroughs. This reflective process is integral to consolidating your what-if experiences, and preparing your mind to embrace even bolder experiments in the future. It is also worth noting that these practical tools and exercises are designed to be adaptable. Not every method will suit every artist, and part of the journey is discovering which practices resonate most deeply with your own creative process. The chapter encourages you to be patient with yourself, to allow for trial and error, and to recognize that even attempts that do not yield immediate success are valuable steps on the path to enhancing your artistry. In this way, the exercises are not merely about achieving technical or emotional perfection. They are about fostering a mindset of continuous inquiry and creative courage. Moreover, the practical applications of the what-if approach extend beyond the confines of traditional performance settings. They offer a way to infuse your everyday life with the same spirit of ingenuity and reflection. Whether you are preparing for a large-scale production or a small, intimate recital, the practice of asking yourself alternative possibilities can help you weather performance anxiety, smooth over moments of creative block, and ultimately make your art a more authentic reflection of who you are. This simple question, what if I try this differently, can be a powerful reminder that transformation is always within reach, even in the midst of a well-practiced routine. In sharing these insights, this chapter builds on the long-standing tradition of artists using reflective inquiry to deepen their skills and enrich their performances. The concept of what if is not a fleeting trend or an abstract theory. It is a practical, actionable approach that has been used by both renowned and emerging artists throughout history. Whether it is the actor who reinterprets a monologue with a fresh twist, or the musician who finds new meaning in an age-old piece, the transformative power of this inquiry is evident in the renewed passion and authenticity that emerge on stage. By the close of this section, you should have a clearer sense of how to integrate these methods into your practice. You are encouraged to experiment, to create your own exercises, and to share your progress with others. The ultimate goal is not to adhere stubbornly to a prescribed set of rules, but to develop a fluid, responsive, creative process that allows every performance to be a fresh, vibrant expression of your inner world. As you begin to apply the techniques outlined here, you may find that your relationship with your art evolves. The boundaries between what is learned and what is felt start to blur, allowing you to move seamlessly from technical execution to emotional expression. There is a beauty in this synthesis, the way your hard-won skills provide a scaffold for the spontaneous bursts of creativity that make your performance uniquely engaging. Every time you ask yourself, what if I approach this moment in a different way? You participate in a dialogue with your own creative potential, one that continuously unlocks new layers of meaning and connection. In summary, this in-depth exploration of the what-if method for musicians has revealed multiple dimensions of its value. It encourages a delicate balance between the precision of technical mastery and the vulnerability of emotional expression. It transforms routine passages into opportunities to reveal personal truths and invites you to view every practice session as an incubator for creative discovery. Through targeted exercises, reflective self-evaluation, and collaborative exploration, you learn that even the slightest variation in your performance can create a ripple effect that brings profound depth and resonance to your music. As you carry these insights into your own practice, remember that the journey is as important as the destination. Every experiment, every moment of hesitation before a note is a step toward a more authentic, expressive version of your art. Embrace the uncertainties, celebrate the small victories, and let your inner questions continue to guide you toward performances that are as emotionally compelling as they are technically sound. With these reflections fresh in your mind, you are well prepared to take the lessons learned here and apply them in practical, transformative ways. The next phase of your creative pursuit will build upon these foundations, leading you to even more refined techniques and deeper artistic connections. For now, consider this section a comprehensive exploration of how the what-if inquiry can serve as an indispensable tool in your daily musical expression, a tool that bridges the structured discipline of practice with the ever-changing tapestry of your inner life. Chapter 1. Step-by-step exercises for actors. There comes a moment in every creative journey when the concepts gleaned from reflection must be tested against the real world of practice. This section invites you to explore how the fundamental what-if inquiries can be systematically brought to life through concrete exercises, routines, and mindful daily habits. Here, we begin by looking at practical strategies that help transform theoretical insights into everyday acts of artistic expression. The ideas presented are designed not only to refine your technical skills, but also to integrate the spontaneous energy of imaginative questioning into every rehearsal and performance. Imagine sitting down at your workspace, whether it is a stage or a studio, and taking a deliberate pause before engaging with your material. Instead of immediately following the routine you have repeated countless times, you adopt a curious mindset that welcomes slight deviations from the familiar. One effective method is to start your practice sessions with a 5-minute period of silent reflection. In that quiet time, close your eyes and let your mind wander over the work ahead. As you recall the piece you are about to perform, allow yourself to ask, what if I try a slightly different approach here? This could involve varying your tone, altering the pace of a spoken line for actors, or experimenting with dynamic changes for musicians. These initial moments of inquiry set the tone for a practice session that is dynamic and filled with potential for growth. For actors, one powerful exercise is to isolate a specific segment of your script, a line, a pause, or a brief exchange and deliver it in multiple variations. Begin by performing the passage exactly as you have rehearsed it. Then, with each subsequent run-through, ask yourself a question such as, what if this line carries a hidden memory or unspoken pain? Or what if my character's response is tinted by unexpected warmth rather than cool detachment? Each variation offers an opportunity to uncover nuances that may have been locked beneath habitual delivery. In one instance, I observed an actor who had long delivered a formal monologue with strict precision introduced a moment of gentle hesitation before a key word. That single modification transformed the monologue into something that felt unexpectedly personal, as if each syllable carried an extra weight of meaning. These exercises demonstrate that even a slight change, carefully considered, can open new avenues in your interpretation. Musicians, too, can benefit from similar practices. A practical approach is to divide your routine practice into 2 parts. First, play a passage as you have always done, and then repeat it while consciously shifting elements such as dynamics, phrasing, or even tempo. For example, If you are working on a familiar scale or cherished piece, try playing it first without your typical precision. Then, on a second run, ask yourself, what if I allow this section to mirror a quiet, introspective mood? You might experiment with softer touches, slower gradations, or unexpected pauses between the notes. Over time, these conscious variations help transform your performance from a simple display of technical mastery into something that breathes with personal emotion and creativity. A key element in applying these practical techniques lies in developing a habit of reflective journaling. After each practice session or performance, take some time to write down the thoughts and observations that arose during your experiments. Note which variations felt natural and which approaches sparked a genuine emotional response. For example, you might find that a slight lowering of volume before a dramatic chord transition not only enhanced the musicality of the piece, but also evoked a mood of quiet introspection that resonated with you. Recording these insights allows you to track your progress and solidify the connection between internal inquiry and external expression. Over weeks and months, your journal becomes a personalized map of creative breakthroughs, each entry a reminder that even small, thoughtful questions can fuel substantial artistic growth. Another concept that enriches your everyday creative life is the art of collaboration. Whether you are an actor rehearsing with a scene partner or a musician practicing in an ensemble, sharing your what-if experiments with others can open up further possibilities. In a group rehearsal setting, invite each member to share one idea for how a passage might be interpreted differently. Perhaps one actor might suggest that a line be delivered with a hint of vulnerability, while another might recommend a brisker pace to inject unexpected urgency. In one rehearsal I recall, a theater group spent part of their session exploring alternative interpretations of a pivotal part's scene. The simple act of exchanging ideas led to a performance that was richer and more cohesive than any single interpretation could have achieved. The collaborative process reinforces that creative inquiry is not an isolated act that grows stronger when shared with a community of receptive minds. In your daily routine, it can be helpful to designate specific moments for such collaborative exploration. Schedule a short discussion or creative brainstorming session with fellow artists. Use those sessions to intentionally challenge routine interpretations. Pose questions like, what if we change the pacing of this dialogue? Or, what if the musical accompaniment is scaled back to let the vocal lines speak more clearly? This approach creates an environment where every rehearsal not only hones your technical abilities, but also fosters an ongoing dialogue that values flexibility and fresh perspective. In this way, each performance becomes a collective journey toward uncovering deeper emotional truths and unexpected artistic pathways. Another important theme to consider is the balance between structure and freedom. Your established techniques, the scales, the rehearsed lines, the meticulously practiced passages form a solid foundation for your art. Yet, within that structure lies the potential for innovation through spontaneous questioning. Picture a familiar scene or a well-known melody as a framework, one that is reliable and trusted. The what-if mindset allows you to overlay this framework with layers of personal meaning, much like adding strokes to a carefully prepared canvas. When you combine disciplined practice with ongoing creative inquiry, you are not undermining the structure, rather, you are enriching it. Even minor alterations, like adjusting the cadence of a line, or varying emphasizing a note can lead to artistic insights that surprise both you and your audience.